Journal of Keldon Zatha, 96. I was supposed to better my life by coming out west, deep into the free Palatinate of Durwood. Instead, a day away from my destination, I became ill, and the caravan was ambushed and nearly killed to the last person. The last I saw of Caravan Master Odema was him laying against a wagon wheel.
Get inside! Run!
Then, the Beawick came. I don't know what did it, but I have the feeling that it finished anyone still in the camp. I still don't know exactly what a Beawick is. A wind from a god? A wind of spirits and ghosts? I didn't want to stay and find out. I saved Haildin by throwing my two-handed sword at his Glathathan attacker. I'd had that sword for years. My master had bought it for me as a gift. I thought I'd save another life. The gods know we lost enough that day. Once inside the ruins, the entrance collapsed and we were safe enough, compared to what was out there. I shudder to think. I've always had a fear of the otherworldly, but that's from the stories. This I actually experienced. That Beawick, that's as real as it gets. Speaking of real, these visions I'm having are troubling. I don't know if I'm losing my mind, or maybe I too died next to Haodin and Kaliska right outside those ruins. That older robed man? Who was that? Why did those people sacrifice themselves? He said something about proving their worth. Nothing proves your worth to a corrupt god than to sacrifice your life to one, I suppose. Like I said, I believe in them, only a fool doesn't. But I don't follow them. But this thing with Galawain, the god of the hunt, that was the god those Glamfathan followers followed. That was their lord. That ruled their lives. I can only assume that he was the cause of the Beawick. So either I offended that god, or the Glanfathan somehow called out to him before he died. Either way, I am glad the god hasn't taken a vengeance upon me since. It occurred to me, in our haste to get out of the ruins, we forgot to find this treasure that is mentioned in the journal we found on that body. Now I remember a doorway off to the left when we first encountered the tile puzzle. Maybe I can return there one day. Like I said, I'm no thief. But treasure's treasure, and now I have a lead. It felt good to liberate the dwarf from those bandits. Though the cost came in my own blood, I still haven't recovered from that. I'll need to rest, hopefully at an inn here in the Gilded Vale. The Gilded Vale. I had pictured open fields, farmers working them, and new land being opened up, along with new homes being built. Forests, beautiful forests, sunshine, a gentle breeze. That's the vision I had coming out here. I had hoped that this would be the start of a new life for me. Not permanent. But I could perhaps gain a reputation as a protector, a mercenary that helps the Gilded Vale thrive against bandits and other beasts. Well, I killed the bandits north of here, but as to the beasts, I think I found them, and they run the Gilded Vale. I fled fanatics of Galawain, a Beawick, ruins full of monsters, cultists sacrificing themselves, bandits, wolves, and all that pales compared to seeing what was hanging from that tree. I don't settle, at least not for longer than a few years, and it's been that way since I became a man. As for the Gilded Vale, I've already given that place a pass. Though I have next to no coin and cannot survive long at this rate. I'll need work, but do I want to work in a place like this? Oh, and I'd like to add that they really hate the god of my people out here. Those hanging from the tree can all attest to that. The magistrate advised me to get some rest while I wait for permanent accommodations. That may be the best thing to put an end to this illness as well. That is the first order of the day, rest. In my haste during combat, before I referred to Guan's pledge as my potion. This item grants the ability to shield the wearer from the myriad perils that plague the world of Eora. An aspect of the god of Eothas, Guan represents the harvest of old age, symbolized here by the many interlocking sickles that form the ring. As Guan helps protect the dignity of old age, so too do his followers pledge to prevent young lives from being harvested before their time. It is a ring of Eothas. It's the only thing I have left of my father. He was a follower of Eothas.
Sure.
Now, where to go. Wow. This could be food. Settler's arrows, mushrooms. I don't particularly want to go under this tree, but I would like to look at it better. Children. More blood moss. Now, let's have a look at this tree. Scattered between the roots are bracelets of twine and bead, wilted flowers, and notes half erased by the rains. I feel sorry for the people that lost loved ones there. Hello?
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Strange way to talk about your dead. He looks up at the tree and breathes out. Half the town's up there now, seems like. No right way to talk about it. I'm looking for someone to help me feel better. He gives an understanding nod as he takes a long drag from his pipe. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. Somebody who seems unconcerned about what's going on here. So, I was correct. That is a large portion of the people who live here. Ruins all around. This looks like an old temple. Look at the glass, or the way that the glass used to be, the way it's framed. Hello, child. This temple used to be closed up. I used to climb on the big stones. I can head downstairs if I want, if there's anything still down there. Beneath the vines are crude carvings of a sun rising over 3 stars. Let's take a look. I don't want to intrude upon anyone in this town. I'm not trying to make enemies. I do need to find an inn and rest, but curiosity's gotten the better of me. Was this a rising sun and 3 dawn stars, a symbol of Eothas? Yes. I didn't want to say it. Wretched beasts? A man lies resting against the wall, lit by the dim illumination of fading sconces. He has a gaunt, fox-like aspect, and his face is pale and damp with sweat. One arm is held loosely against his side, sleeves soaked with blood. He gives you an anxious glance as you near, his features twisted with pain. Have a care if you mean to go in. He casts a quick look towards the doorway to his left. This place not so empty as I thought. This temple isn't what it used to be, probably for the best. Times being as they are, he groans and shifts position, wincing. I'm no looter, if that's what you're thinking. Not one of the faithful, either. Just wanted to go do some good, I suppose. Got my arm clawed up for it. He regards you wearily. Maybe you'd have better luck. Better luck with what? The man points a finger upwards. These ruins helped us. These ruins around us. Used to be a temple of Eothas, the scattered god. A grand temple at that. His worshippers would come from all over the Deerwood. From Riadesurus, even. Until the war, of course. Even then, you'd get some of the stubborn ones. The ones that couldn't get it through their heads that their god was dead and gone. Lord Raderick allowed them to worship? Lord Raderick would clear out the place from time to time. Make arrests. It wasn't until the legacy that he started. Losing patience. He sent his guards in to put the priests to the sword. Bring the place down. Burn some of the books. And that was that. He looks away. What's this legacy? St. Waidwin's legacy, the man that housed the scattered god for a time. Lord Raderick fought in that one. When they brought the god down, we had us a celebration here in town. We thought things would never be better. Started some time after that, the disease or whatever it is, children being born without the stuff that makes them truly alive, just empty shells, and their mothers screaming and crying. He lets out a long breath. It's destroyed us, Gilded Vale, I mean. The thinking is it's Waidwin's having a last laugh. Strikes me as a little petty, even for a dead god. He smiles thinly, but Lord Raderick believes it. That's all that matters. Go on. Once the legacy started, Lord Raderick decided he's been too lenient on the Eothians. He had his people go in and put them to the sword, left them down here, buried under a heap of rock. After that, Raderick ordered the temple sealed. It's been years like that, up until recently. Lord Raderick hopes that if we rededicate the temple to a living god, then we'll be forgiven, and the legacy will end, see? He smiles wryly. But until then, the temple as you see it is as you see it, unguarded. That's where you come in. Wharton licks his lips. Those priests, maybe they didn't have a lick of sense between them, but they still didn't deserve to go like that. Chopped down in their god's house? It doesn't sit right with me. Nor with me. If you can get down there, find the remains, maybe we can finally give them a proper burial. He breathes out. No small task. There's coin in it for you if you need motivating. I need to rest first before braving some dungeon. If it laid you low, what's it gonna do to me? So you want me to bring you some skeletons? I'd bury them where they are if I could. I know it's a little macabre, but if we don't get them out to now, Radric's liable to destroy whatever's left of them. I take it you aren't supposed to be in here. He laughs bleakly. Well, I meant to be in and out, nice and quick. I'm not hurting anyone, it's just Lord Radric's forbidden anyone from having anything to do with the scattered god. It'd be a little harder to explain to him than you. It's a good cause, though, isn't it? And you could make some coin in the process. Your logic is solid. But they're long dead. What does it matter where they're buried? It's about respect, isn't it? About deserving to be remembered. Not just tossed under a pile of rock and forgotten. He breathes out shakily. I thought it worth the effort, giving that to them. I'll find them. Then by the flame, I owe you a good turn. But listen, the temple's been sealed off for so long it's crawling with creatures. But if you get past them, the priests would have been down there on the lower floor. They'll be there still, if they're anywhere. Those priests had all kinds of secret chambers, switches in the walls, trick sconces, that kind of thing. Keep an eye out, and take care down there. I wouldn't want to have to send someone else after your remains. I'll wait here by the stairs and keep a lookout. Maybe try to patch myself up some. I can't go down right now. I'm hurting as it is. Saint Waidwin was the living vessel of the god of Eothas. Many now consider that blasphemy. Saint Waidwin was a mortal, a farmer. Not any richer than my family growing up, as I grew up with them. Then, 15 years ago, the war ended by an explosion. And follower of another god, they killed him. And then the war ended. Well, in order to find an inn to rest, I guess I need to find my way around. That means either wandering around looking for signs or talking to people. And I guess I'll start with this fellow over here. A little odd looking. As you near, you feel a vibrant history containing the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. Reach out to the soul. I haven't done this in a few months. You see a pennant waving tall and sluggish in the wind, a rising sun embroidered on the banner, the vanguard of a small troop of paladins. The atmosphere is buoyant, if restrained, and their armor has not yet been tarnished by the elements. This expedition is fresh, young, filled with zest and zeal. At their head stands a commander, awkward in full armor, but determined in step. Despite the excitement of his fellows, he does not smile. There's a twist to his mouth. His countenance is grim. He throws up a hand, halting his troops. Silence falls among them, revealing a dark thunder, deep and low. He orders them to ready their weapons and spread out. Eyes dart from horizon to horizon, necks twisting to see the source of the sound. In the distance, dust and lightning rise from the ground as Stygian clouds race towards them overhead. The soldiers stand, only the staccato movement of their breath betraying their nerves. The commander closes his eyes, calling a blessing down on his troop. Invigorated, invincible, they wait as the enemy draws closer, poised to attack. They step back. That was intense, but I've experienced things like that before. I wonder if this isn't a paladin that was there. Step back. That's a little bit strong for me. Especially with my injury, I can't, and the visions I'm having, I can't focus on stuff like that now. There's a home, with fire going. Somebody somewhere is cozy. And now the rain is getting me. There's a woman over here. The Blackhound Inn's a fine place to sit and have a smoke. Sounds like a good place for me right now. Another home. Fireplace. Smoke coming out. It's been months since I've experienced a nice, cozy home. Smith? Blackhammer Smithery. I'm interested, just not now. Another woman. Feels like we've been seeing more bandits along the roads of late. Well, there's about 4 of them less up north. Proof. Poor Afra is so worried about her child, I don't blame her. Who's Afra? I'm gonna take a peek in here. A beer. I'll take that. A couple ales as well. I don't mind drinking. This door. Well, there's no advertisement. I take it somebody lives here? The chimney's going. Maybe there'll be someone in here who can help me. This man and woman appeared to have been deep in conversation. Working at close to bulging satchels, they moved to embrace until the woman noticed you approach and pauses, her smile faltering a little.
Good day, stranger.
Can we help you? She looks to her companion, brows furrowing with confusion. Do you know this man, Nonton? Nonton coughs. Yes, I think we met in Valewood. I warned him about the bear. He inclines his head. Glad to see you've made it. Was there something else you wanted? Oh, I remember you now. Yes, your friend died to the bear. Is there anything you can tell me about the Gilded Vale? He smiles wryly. Only you'll want to be moving on as soon as you can. You'll have seen that tree, I imagine, but the rut goes deeper. If you were looking for work, I'd say you have a better chance of it elsewhere. That's not good news, is it? We're headed for Defiance Bay ourselves, Nonton adds. You two seem to be in a hurry? Yes, I imagine so. The woman laughs. We're packing for a trip, actually. I've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay, and she looks to Nonton. Well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. He reaches to take her hand. It's time for some new scenery, he says. I leave. The bottle of Sunreed is half empty. Well, maybe that's a place I'm going to have to head to. I have a little bit of food. Maybe it'll last me a few days on the road, but I need to rest. I can set up camp a few times. Still, I've got a little bit of coin on me. I wouldn't mind staying in a nice inn and recovering properly. Getting out of this rain. Well, this is not the inn. This is Gold Rot Chew. Oh, another bush. Are these the farmer fields I was dreaming of? Yeah, I can see this place becoming a ghost town soon. And I don't blame them. It's like a horror story. One that you tell to frighten children of doing wrong. Now, who are these people? They're armed. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from his past seem to call it to you. Reach out to the soul. You see a large crowd gathered in the middle of a courtyard. This man stands in the midst of them, a cloak pulled over his head, holding it closed around his neck. The crowd is congregated around a platform, and they all watch, transfixed, as a man is led to the platform. Flanked by 2 city guardsmen, the man is shackled hand and foot, but carries himself as a nobleman, not deigning to even glance at the crowd. The cloaked man pulls his cover closer around his face and turns to leave, hunching over to avoid being seen. A crier on the platform unrolls a parchment and begins to read. But the man pays no attention, intent on getting away from the courtyard. The crier's voice grows louder and louder, and more intense as he reads, and voice from the crowd starts to punctuate his sentences. The jeers and shouts grow more frequent with each one. The cloaked man flinches and his shoulders droop. He breaks from the crowd, coming to the edge of the courtyard. As the crier reaches the end of his proclamation, the crowd goes silent again, save for the occasional shout. The man turns back to look at the platform, seeing his father kneeling before the block, neck exposed. The executioner moves into position, lifting his axe to strike. The man turns suddenly, unable to watch. There is a wet thunk, and the crowd breaks into cheers and applause. He leans against the wall, regaining his composure, then straightens up. With obvious resolve, he strides off, away from the crowd and his legacy. Not sure why I'm all of a sudden feeling this from people, but I guess these are intense parts of their soul. Oh, as in this other person as well. As you near, you feel the vibrant history containing the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. Reach out for the soul. You see a pair of immaculately polished leather boots and an impeccably maintained goatee. Their owner, a slightly hook-nosed man with a wicked grin and narrow eyes. He bobs his feathered hat at a nearby merchant as he ambles by, a small piece of parchment held tight in his fist, ink staining his fair fingers. He seems to know most of the merchants in the market, stopping to engage some, nodding at the others, and even bartering for minor goods with a select few, always smiling, laughing, and exchanging jibes. He approaches a heavy-set Amua, a smile plastered stiff across his face, and jokes about the weather. He jokes back, subtly palming him several gold coins. When he walks away, the paper in his hand is gone, and the smile on his face far more genuine. He tips his cap at her, winking, and trundles off with a new spring in his step. He's a thief. He's a thief. This is what the life of being a cipher is like. Oh, this is leaving the town. I really need to find that inn. An old windmill. Well, I don't think that that's the inn. Cow. Cows. Hello. Did you hear the bells? Bad news, I think. Yes, I would think so. That's where the farmer's fields begin. Brass bell. More herbs. I can make use of these. I need to go to the southwest of the town. More herbs. Pilgrim's crown. The field. Despite the rains, the stalks feel as dry and stiff as a locust husk. Fitting. The town feels like that too. Well, I don't think I'll be getting imprints on their souls from these, but let's talk to them. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Reach out to the soul. This is too much all at once. Not when I feel like this. I'm injured. And I'm seeing visions. Now I'm seeing the souls of these people. You see a room, bright, warm, covered in greenery. There's a spot in the entire space that doesn't... There isn't a spot in the entire space that doesn't feel like some kind of plant growing in it. Small, germinating seeds in a corner here. Large, sprawling vines climbing the walls there. Although most of the plants are actually in some kind of container. There are a few that have grown from the dirt floor itself. These are just as lovingly cared for as anything else in the room. This man wanders through the plants, smiling at each and every one, an old pipe clenched between his teeth. Stopping next to one, he touches a leaf, lifting it up and looking at the underside, then gently rubs it between his fingers. Takes a small handful of the soil it grows in and crushes it with his fingers. Satisfied, he drops the soil back into the pot and continues to the next plant. He hums a low, cheery tune as he moves along the plants, occasionally stopping to sing a few words of something to one of them. Finally, he reaches the door, having visited every plant in the room. He turns back to look at them, a look of serene pleasure on his face. Then he turns back and is gone. Okay, enough of this. There's supposed to be an inn there. The dwarf said he was... Did he say he's part of the inn? He works in an inn? There's the ruins again of that temple. More Barath spell. You see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggests an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
I take it that he's facing these 3 villagers that don't like him.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
Say nothing. One of the other men glares at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. You've got a lot of gall mocking us in our own village. We don't take ill treatment from foreigners, especially not Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
He thrusts his chin at the elf. He stinks of sour ale.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
He plants his feet. Something surly and raw flickers through his eyes.
That's where you're wrong.
I'm staying out of this one. They round on you, their eyes full of scattershot rage. Oh no, you don't, Adiran. How do they know me? Is it that evident? But I'll have to find out what happens in this fight. Later.